Okay, so I finished the knife I showed all the parts for in the last video, and it came out pretty nice. I'm gonna go over just some of the stuff, just the measurements right now. Um, so the blade length is 7 inches, and then the handle is it's 4.5 inches. Is about a quarter. I mean, an eighth less than 4.5. So oh, and the width is an inch and a half wide, and this is the widest part. Is it's about an inch wide at the base of the handle. I mean, and then well, it's a lot wider this way. No, it's about an inch too. It's about an inch, and a little bit more than an inch. It's like probably like a 16th more than an inch on the very bottom. So this is about the longest I can. That's like comfortable for me to carry. So I do landscaping, and I carry a knife because I use it a lot. I just chop branches, and then there's like blackberry bushes and stuff like that. Sometimes there's like a branch sticking out, and I'll just use this when I don't have any shears. So so this is what I used to carry. This is the Aurora 2 by Bark River knives, and it's a good knife. I just wanted to make something that on myself that I would carry, and just a little bit longer. This is a 5.5 inch blade, I think. Yeah, so it's 5.5 inches the blade, and then the handle is about 5 inches at the very. Also, once again, like an eighth less than 5 inches at the very end there. Um, so so this is I went over it in the video, but I'm just gonna go over it again, just to make like this video kind of like a standalone. So this is a CPM 3V. I had it professionally heat treated, so I sent it out, and then this is a lignum vitae. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Wood, so it's the densest wood there is, and then so titanium handguard, and I did a little you can see it, a teardrop kind of handguard shape, and then the pins are titanium too, and there's 7 of them. So I'm just gonna go over some of the stuff why I did it, I guess, and then I did. Oh, here's the sheath. So I scout carry. So I use a web belt, and so it's an inch and a quarter. I put it through here and here too. It goes through these 3 places, and I taped it because it's the same reason as this one. It this right here ends up like messing up my I like to wear a vest, a Carhartt vest when I work when it's cold, and this ends up messing it up if I don't tape it. I use on the edge, you can see here, I use 800 grit sandpaper, but since the lip is so thin, even though I sand it down and like I make it super smooth, it still messes up jackets and stuff like that. So well, I chose this shape. I just wanted it to be pretty sharp. So so I decided to make it like a very, very thin grind. It's a flat grind. It's a 0 bevel, so there's no bevel on the end. So it's just completely flat. I added this here for my thumb, just to hold it like this if I cut something, and I'll round it off the top here. So it's basically like my chef knife but small, and that looks like a needle basically. I mean, it's since it's rounded and it's like super thin on the end. Uh, I mean, it is very very thin. The blade is, I mean the edge, but I like using CPM 3V. It's supposed to be pretty tough, and it is. And if you get it heat treated like professionally, it does come out like really really nice. Really tough. You can feel it. You can feel when you grind it. That's like really crazy hard, and it's just overall. I mean, CPM 3V overall for me is I mean it's rust resistant to a certain point. It is carbon steel, but I like it a lot. Um, so I chose lignum vitae because I wanted something tough. I don't really like this is micarta. Micarta is tougher than, I mean, in my opinion, than any wood you can get. But it's, I don't know. I just don't. I like wood better, and I've tried other woods, and that are treated, uh, they're stabilized and stuff like that. And I wanted to get something that wasn't treated, wasn't stabilized or nothing, and just but was really 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 tough. So I went with this, and just to show you actually, um, so here's a piece. It's supposed to be crazy dense, and look, so it doesn't even float. It's kind of nuts. Well, I'm gonna try that with other other dense woods. I don't know if ebony would float and stuff like that, but this one definitely doesn't. So and it's weird working with lignum vitae. Hopefully this video isn't too long, but when you first work with it, so there's two different kinds. There's one that's they call it like real lignum vitae, and you'll see it like this color. So it'll be like greenish. It'll have some like aqua blue kind of like lines in it, and then there's like Argentinian, or yeah, lignum vitae, and that one's super light color. It's almost like something like this, but not that much. Just a little bit darker than this, but it's like a yellowish. So when I first worked on this, it was yellowish, and then the first day I went out and used it, and you can kind of see. I don't know if the camera gets that. This little area that's in the sheath all the time. So the sheath. Let's see if we got it there. There you go. So the sheath goes up to here, and this is what's being exposed. That is exposed to the sun, because I wear it this part forward, and so this, I don't know if you can tell, this is a little bit lighter on this side than this side, and then there's a little part where it's like dark, and then it's light right here, and that's just because this sheath has been covering the sun from I mean it hasn't been exposed to the sun as much. So when you first work with it, it's super light. It's like way lighter than this too. It's not as light as Argentinian. If you look up lignum vitae, you'll see a lot of the lighter stuff. It's not as light as that, but it's close, and then it just darkens up like a lot. And then even the shavings and the dust like that I left behind, there's just like little spots on like the machine. I had the machine outside, and it turned like moss green basically. So it's a crazy material to work with. And at first I was going to give this a convex edge, and because I mean my idea was to oh, and this is this is the thickness on this is it's about 5 millimeters. 5 millimeters thick. So what does that translate to? I don't know. 3/8 maybe. Well, I don't know. A little bit more than 2/8. Well, it's like 5 millimeters thick stock, and basically did a flat grind from up to here. So at first, when I got it back from Heat Tree, I thought I'll try convex edge because having a flat grind all the way is kind of makes the edge a lot more delicate. But I wasn't really happy with how sharp it was, and I'll show you how sharp it is now. But so I ended up going with a flat grind and a zero bevel, and then the reason I rounded it is just because I like how it looks like a needle. And then so the cross guard too, I didn't know what to do for the cross guard, what shape. So I started with a big piece and just started like shaping it. I ended up first I tried equal sides on both sides. I didn't like it, and I ended up doing this teardrop design, and I like this when you hold it at an ice pick grip. You hear my my wrist pop. All right, so ice pick grip. It's like here's my pinky right at the end of the of the handguard, and when you do this, it basically this part is like flush with the bottom of my hand, so it's like super comfortable. Oh, and I gave the handle like a made it thicker in the center. It's kind of thicker for other people, I guess, but for my hands, I wear extra large gloves. It's like perfect for me, but it's a little bit big for other people. Showed it to some of my friends, and it's a little bit big for some, but it came out nice for me. So just with the palm swell and ice pick grip, the pommel feels like super nice. And when you hold it like this, just regular, and you're using it, this piece right here goes into the palm of my hand like really nice too. Like my thumb's like in line with this right here. So very comfortable. And I made it triangular in shape. Just a little bit. It helps with because this is like super smooth, so it's not rough at all. It doesn't help with there's no roughness that helps with grip. The grip is all like in the shape. So it's triangular this way. That helps. And it's triangular. Well, it's a lot thinner here, and it gets like the widest is right here, but it's as wide as a little bit wider than the palm swell here in the center. And I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I'll show you, and then I'll talk about the sheath a little bit. So this is just regular fine paper. Let's see if I can get this on. So it's kind of, it's like pretty sharp. Okay, so it is sharp, but it's also like a very delicate edge. I mean, I don't want to say like super delicate, but just I wouldn't use it for bushcraft basically. I wouldn't like I would chop. I chop like branches like this thick every now and then. I just swing at them, and I'll do stuff like that, but I won't do what people like do on other videos. I understand they do it to like show how tough a knife is. Like when they baton, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't baton with that edge, or I wouldn't like try to chop at a like a large branch, like as if it's a machete. It would probably like mess up the edge if you just happen to strike it. Like let's say this is the log, and you happen to do. I'm doing an exaggeration, but if you strike it with the edge alignment isn't right, you'll end up like putting a ding in it, I think. Like I said, I have a lot of confidence in CPM 3V, and that's why I wanted to make a edge this thin because I do have that confidence in it, but I still wouldn't want to. I see it as for me, I see it as abuse. Like I'm like asking more than what I should from a knife if I do that to it with something this edge. So basically this is so now to the sheath. This is what I had before. I didn't make this sheath. This knife came with it. Somebody who was selling it new, but they also had a sheath for it too. It was part of the deal. I did this. This is paracord. It's what's called 750-pound paracord, and it has like 11 strands inside instead of 5. That's what 550 has, I think. 5 strands. So super nice. Oops, super nice. Comes out nice and everything. Very well done. This I made, and comes out. It's a little bit. Comes out nice too, but it's not as because this is worn out a little bit more. Like I can push it with my thumb and just let it slip out, which is good. But so the things I had to do to changes for this one, because it's a longer blade, is I put tape on this end. Well, just because the shape is it's kind of pointy. It'll start wearing out my my clothes if I wear it all the time without any tape. But I had to add this part here, because you can't when you do a sheath, see how it's open right there? It has to be open, so it, so you can pull it out easily. So it can actually pull out, because if you put the rivet too close to the blade, it would be like crazy hard. At a certain point you wouldn't even be able to pull it out if you put it too close. So this is basically as close as I could get to this end, with the sheath still functioning fine. So I can't put paracord all the way to here. So I added this little piece here, which is kind of loose, but I needed if I only put my belt through these two loops, like here's me, this thing like sticks out way too much out that way. And so I added this just to keep it closer to me, but I'll still be able to pull it out fine, because it's not super tight. And I added this little piece of leather so that this doesn't slide all the way up against this. And just talking about sheaths. When you make sheaths, my other knives have like a copper, so they have a copper handguard. I hope this video doesn't last too long, but my other knives have either a copper handguard or a brass handguard. And the thing is, with sheaths, like Kydex sheaths, a leather sheath is fine. And but with Kydex sheaths, they start wearing out. They have to grab onto something when you put in, so that your sheath can lock in. It has to grab onto something. And you can kind of see right here. This is basically the place where this sheath grabs onto this, and it grabs onto the handguard. And for this one, it's basically, it grabs on. You see that little divot here? It's basically grabbing on to to this little part here. And then there's some here, I guess. It grabs on here. But if you can see this, actually. See if I can show it. See the scratches? So my card is tough. And this is kind of rounded. I don't know if you can see that. So my card is tough. You can see all those lines there, the scratches. But Kydex, so eventually it'll start wearing out. Like if you use like copper, and I have my chef knife here. So I made a Kydex sheath for my chef knife, and it looks like a pancake. So I don't wear this. I tried it on once and it looked ridiculous. I wouldn't wear it for like in public, that'd be insane, but I try wearing it around the house and it just looks ridiculous. But I made a sheath for it because just to have something so it doesn't to protect the blade, and so it doesn't cut anything. So this has a copper handguard, and if I were to make this sheath grab onto this copper handguard, it would basically waste away wherever it grabs onto. So how this is, wasting away the micarta a little bit, and it would basically do that to the copper. So it would just basically round it out, waste it away, and then it wouldn't grab onto it. What I did for this is kind of getting off topic. I wanted to show this blade because I basically copied it but made it smaller for this one. So what I did for this one was basically I made it so that it grabs onto the edge of this blade. So it grabs onto this. And it's not like it won't grab on completely well. And that's the other thing too. Like, this is my first sheath I made. Whenever you see something like super shiny like that, if you see a sheath and it's very shiny like this, it means they overheated it. That's what I did. But I didn't get it to the point where it became brittle or anything like that. It just kind of like, I use an electric oven? No. An electric, I'm forgetting the name of it. It's like a flat pan that's electric, so it heats up. And you just flip over the Kydex like a tortilla, basically, until it gets floppy. And what I did was, I heated it up. Like, I was doing a bunch of stuff, and then heated up the flat iron or whatever it is. And I put down the Kydex, and it heated up the surface too fast. And by the time I flipped it over, I noticed that so this is like a taco. I noticed that it was just too hot. It basically turned it shiny, and you don't want that. This came out fine. And this one too, you can actually see there's little spots there. I mean, it's perfectly fine, but this is kind of like same thing. They kind of overheated it and made it kind of like just made the Kydex disfigure a little bit. Like it made it warp. So you got to watch out for that if you ever do Kydex. So what I did with this, so it's grabbing on here. I don't know if you can see that little indentation. It's like barely visible. I made this little loop here. I'm gonna talk about this knife later on too. I'm gonna like make another video just specifically for this knife. But you put your hand here, and then you press on this. That's how it comes out. I mean, it's good enough to like hold it. But if I shake it hard enough, since this is such a big knife, and oh yeah, I didn't add any. So when I made this sheath, I'm going too much off on a tangent, but I just added tape on the edge, just to protect the edge. And then I pressed the Kydex on here when it was hot, so it's also grabbing onto the blade itself a little bit. So usually you tape the blade, and this is what I did with this. You usually tape the blade, and so it doesn't grab onto the blade itself. You just want it grabbing onto to wherever you want it to grab onto. Basically, you don't want it to just necessarily grab onto the blade. But for this, I did because I didn't want it to grab onto the handguard at all. At all. And so I didn't put any tape on the blade itself. I just put tape on the edge so it won't dull my knife every time I put it in. And I don't know if you can see this. So it's basically not touching the copper handguard, basically. So this one, and you can see little spots there where it's like rubbing part of the Kydex off. So this titanium, I wanted something hard enough that when I did put it in here, it wouldn't wear out at all. It would be the opposite. I mean, the Kydex, obviously the Kydex is wearing out too, along with the micarta on this one. But this one, it's like the titanium will never wear out basically, but the Kydex will. um, and I can just make a new sheath later on. I don't have my knife itself won't be wearing out. So that's why I wanted to do titanium instead of copper, which looks nicer actually, or brass, which also looks nicer than titanium. So just real quick, just to wrap it up. Oh, I left some extra paracord just so I can sling it. You can sling your sheath across your chest and your shoulder. Have your knife underneath your armpit when you're doing stuff, and it's like a super comfortable place to have it. You just got to make sure that it's a sheath that's holds on well enough that like in no situation it would just drop out from just you walking around and stuff. So I left enough, and there's a hole here too, but I've used that position every now and then, but I don't do that much. But whenever if I decide to, I'll just take off the tape and put new tape on there. But there's another rivet here, so I undo this, sling it across my my chest, and then put it through the hole that's here, and then tie a knot to the paracord, and you can adjust the size of the you can adjust your paracord basically to where you want it, and you can just have this like right underneath your armpit and just basically pull out your knife whenever you want to. So just to wrap it up, so this is my favorite knife, and if I was going to carry something, I wanted to make a mini version of it. So basically triangular handle, and this is a triangular handle, but then I added a palm swell, and this one doesn't have one, it's just flat. These are the differences. The handguard is kind of similar, and and this one isn't triangular, it's just a kind of a rectangle, like with the corners off. And then this has a jimping, but the jimping on this one's different. So it's similar, and they're both the same thickness. It's similar but different. And then this one is a rounded edge, but see the tip isn't as thin as this one. See, this one's way thicker. And then just the general shape. I did this just as an extra because I like and then this little divot here, but I did it more pronounced on this one. And I decided to do this turn here because it goes with this little radius. It goes with this one too. I mean, to me, as just an aesthetic thing. Other than that, oh yeah, and the reason I chose a teardrop too. I mean, I was trying different things, and then I just decided. The reason I thought of a teardrop as a design. This one has a couple here, so they look like teardrops, and then there's two on this side. So this was influenced by this, and I've already been carrying it for a couple days. I'm very happy with it, but I still have a pretty good sized piece of steel, so whenever I think of something, I'll make another one and see how that comes out too. So whoever's watching, hopefully you like the video. I think it came out pretty nice. Okay. All right. Bye.